What's up, everyone? How's it going? I hope we all had a great Christmas, holiday, Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, whatever you guys celebrate. I hope it was awesome. You are now tuned into episode 212 of the Idiotic Sports Talk. I'm your host, Liam Gavin, coming to you live from my studio, aka my bedroom. And this is the NFL Week 16 recap. We have a lot to touch up on. Teams fighting tooth and nail for the playoff spot. Other teams waving bye-bye to their playoff hopes. Teams are starting to get hot at the right times, while other teams are starting to cool off at the wrong time. And just teams out there putting other teams in the NFL on notice. So let's start with Thursday's game. The Rams beat the Saints 30-22. Matt Stafford, 328 passing, 2 touchdowns, no picks. The rookie Puka Nacua, 9 catches, $164 and a score. Kyron Williams, 104 rushing and a touchdown. Demarcus Robinson, 6 catches, 82 yards and a touchdown. It's his 4th straight game with a touchdown. And now we look at the Saints. Derek Carr, 319 passing, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick. Chris Olave, 9 catches for 123. Rashid Shaheed, 5 catches, 70 yards and a touchdown. And the rookie A.T. Perry had a touchdown catch, along with the tight end Juwan Johnson. He had a touchdown catch too. So the Rams are extending their push for the playoffs with a big win on Thursday night. They're now 8-7. The entire team played flawless the whole game. The offense 461 total, 133 rushing. Didn't turn the ball over. They got it done with both the run and pass game. They even led 30-7 to start the fourth quarter. Had a huge lead, and they fired on all cylinders in this game. The defense had 2 sacks, 1 pick, completely shut down the run game of the Saints. And the Rams have won the last 5 of 6 games. And they're heating up at the right time. Explosive offense. The defense has been getting better. They could be dangerous come playoff time. As for the Saints, they trailed 30-7, like I said. They made it entertaining in the last 7 minutes. They got a touchdown, a blocked punt to set up another touchdown. They cut their deficit from 30-7 to 30-22. But unfortunately, in the final 3 minutes, the defense couldn't make a stop. The Rams bled the clock out, and too little too late. The offense had 354 total. The run game didn't exist, just 35 yards. And they were good on third down. They were 5 of 11, but 0 for 3 on fourth down. All of those 3 failed conversions led to 13 points for the Rams. And in my previous video, I said Derek Carr does make costly mistakes, and it happened in the third quarter with an interception. They trailed 20-7, but that interception turned into 7 points for the Rams to make it to 27-7. And at that point, you felt like it was over for the Saints. The defense had a sack, but they couldn't force a turnover. They were bad against both the pass and run, and they gave up 450-plus yards. The Saints dropped to 7-8 as their playoff chances are hanging on by a thread. Next, the Saturday games. We got the Steelers beating the Bengals 34-11. Mason Rudolph, 290 passing, 2 touchdowns, no picks. George Pickens, 4 catches, $195 and a touchdown. Najee Harris, 78 rushing yards and a touchdown. Jake Browning for the Bengals, 335 passing, a touchdown, 3 picks. T. Higgins, 5 catches for $140 and a score. So Rudolph, no, not the red-nosed reindeer. The third-string quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers lit up their division rival. They swept Cincinnati this year. They snapped their 3-game losing streak, and they're still alive in the AFC playoff picture with an 8-7 record. Mason Rudolph and George Pickens did their best Tom Brady to Randy Moss impression. They set the tone on that first drive when Mason Rudolph hit Pickens for an 86-yard touchdown. The offense, 403 total yards. They ran for 113, 7 of 14 on third down. They protected the ball. They scored 34 points, something that they haven't done at all this season. And Mason Rudolph gets his first start of the season due to an injury to Kenny Pickett. And we all know about Mitch Trubisky just stinking it up out there. And he played better, in my opinion, in this game than both of them combined all season. And he's a solid veteran. He's been in the league since 2018. He's got a lot of playing time. And I'll even say he's the best third-string quarterback in the NFL. George Pickens, he got into it with the media in this previous week, but he responds by balling out. That's what a solid player does. And if you play fantasy football, if you had George Pickens, I'm sure you're a happy camper right now. The defense, just like the offense, set the tone the first quarter with a pick in the end zone to spoil the Cincinnati offensive drive that was moving the ball at will. They finished with 3 sacks, 3 picks. They were stout against the run. They only let up 11 points. And the Steelers are not dead yet for playoff contention, and neither is Mike Tomlin's streak of never having under a 500 record. So a solid win for Pittsburgh that they definitely needed. As for the Bengals, their 3-game winning streak came to a halt. The offense, 392 total yards. The downside was the 3 interceptions, 1 occurring in the Pittsburgh end zone, like I said, and no Jamar Chase in this game, and it did not help at all. Even with T. Higgins stepping up, he accounted for half of the Bengals' yards, And, he also had an 80-plus yard touchdown like George Pickens. Just the rest of the offense didn't show up, especially the run game of 59 yards. And by the way, another fantasy football talk. If you randomly started T. Higgins like you did to George Pickens, I bet you're feeling great right now. But overall, just a poor performance by the Bengals on offense. The defense had 1 sack. They had no turnovers, and they gave up 400 plus yards and 34 points. They dropped to 8-7 on the season, and this loss could very well negatively impact their playoff chances. The next Saturday game was the Bills beating the Chargers 24-22. Josh Allen 237 passing, a touchdown, a pick, 2 rushing touchdowns. Gabe Davis 4 catches for 130 and a touchdown. As for Easton Stick of the Chargers, 215 passing, no touchdowns, no picks, and a rushing touchdown. Austin Eckler 65 rushing yards. So the Bills are starting to catch fire. They're on a 3-game win streak. They're now 9-6 and are in the playoffs as the 6th seed in the AFC. It wasn't easy for them, though. They trailed 10-0 early, turned the ball over 3 times, but they stayed resilient, overcame the misfortunes, and drove downfield for a game-winning field goal in the final minutes. The offense, 342 total, 105 on the ground, 5 of 10 on third down. They overcame Josh Allen pick, a James Cook fumble. They shook off a bunch of penalties as well. The offensive line had another stellar performance, and the defense, they didn't force turnovers, but they had 5 sacks, and a couple of them late in the game to close it out. The Bills are clicking at the right time now, and they have a shot at being a dark horse in the playoffs this season. A lot of people could see them making a run, and we'll see about that. As for the Chargers, they put up a fight way more than my Cowboys did against the Bills, but they came up short. All 3 sides of the ball, offense, defense, and special teams showed up, but sadly they lost by 2 points due to that last-second field goal. And Easton Stick had a very solid game. He or the Chargers offense had no turnovers. They finished with 313 total and 98 rushing yards, but their issues, 414 on third down, bad play from their O-line. And the defense, I thought, had a pretty decent game. They actually showed heart out there, unlike the Cowboys defense. They actually made plays such as a sack, a pick, a fumble, and they held James Cook to 70 scrimmage yards, while the Cowboys made him look like Barry Sanders out there when he racked up 200 yards and a couple of touchdowns. And even special teams, they played with hustle this game. They forced a fumble on a punt. But as we all know, the Chargers are notorious for losing this way, and this is just how the cookie crumbles with them. The Chargers go on to lose their 3rd straight game with a 5-10 record. The dreams of the playoffs no longer exist for them as they are officially eliminated, and just an ugly season for them. Awful coaching, injuries to key players, just flat out underperformed. But something positive from this season for them is that they fired the head coach, Brandon Staley. Next, the Sunday games. So it was the Christmas Eve games. The Jets beat the Commanders 30-28. Trevor Siemian, 217 passing, a touchdown, a pick, a fumble. Breece Hall, 95 rushing yards and a touchdown. He also had 12 catches for 96 yards. Garrett Wilson, 9 catches for 76 yards. Sam Howell, 56 passing yards, no touchdowns, 2 picks. It was benched again for Jacoby Brissett, who threw for 100 yards, a touchdown, and no picks. The rookie running back Chris Rodriguez had 2 rushing scores, and Antonio Gibson with 1 rushing score. So the Jets almost blew a 20-point lead, but almost doesn't count unless if it's horseshoes and hand grenades. The Greg Zuerlein field goal in the final seconds gave them the win and a 6-9 record. The offense, 381 total. They ran for 164. They scored 30 points, which was a surprise. And Breece the Beast, 191 scrimmage yards plus 2 total touchdowns. The defense had a sack, 2 picks. They gave up less than 260 yards. And even special teams made plays. They blocked a punt, and they also forced a fumble on a punt. And the Jets got it done on all sides of the ball this game. As for the Commanders, they trailed by 20 points late in the 3rd quarter. They were able to fight back and led 28-27 in the 4th quarter. They fought all the way back, but it was too little too late. It was too little too late because of the early mistakes that costed them. Like I said, the 2 picks, the special teams miscues. They all led to points for the Jets. As for their offense, 258 total, 102 rushing, bad on third down, going 3 of 12, too many turnovers, and Howell was benched for the 2nd straight week for Brissett. 8 penalties for 68 yards, while the Jets had 14 penalties for 150. It still didn't help out the Commanders, and their defense had no sacks against a horrible O-line. They did cause a fumble, they did cause a pick, but they allowed close to 400 yards and 30 points against a bad Jets offense. Ugly loss for them. This is their 6th straight loss, and they're now 4-11 on the season. I expect a lot of firings after this season to the coaching staff of that team. Next, the Lions beat the Vikings 30-24. Goff 270 or 257 passing, a touchdown, no pick. The rookie Jahmyr Gibbs 80 rushing yards, 2 scores and a fumble. Amon-Ra St. Brown 12 catches, 106 and a touchdown, and David Montgomery with a rushing score. As for Nick Mullins of the Vikings, 411 passing, 2 touchdowns, 4 picks. Justin Jefferson, 6 catches, 141 and a score. KJ Osborne, 5 catches, 95 yards and a score. Ty Chandler with a rushing touchdown. So party like it's 1993 because the Lions have won their first NFC North title since the year 1993. They moved to 11-4 with the win over the division rival. They punched their ticket to the playoffs. Their offense had 400 total yards. They ran wild for 143, 6-12 on third down. The defense, 4 sacks, 4 interceptions, amazing against the run. And I'm very happy to see Detroit win that division title. They've certainly most earned it, especially over this past couple of years. And the Vikings could have won, but made too many mistakes, mainly Nick Mullins. 4 interceptions, majority of them leading to points for Detroit. And 422 yards, but they were bad on third down, going 3-9. The run game was just absolutely putrid with 17 yards. The defense had a sack, a fumble. They allowed 400 yards, and just a sloppy performance. It drops them to 7-8, and now their playoff hopes are dwindling by a thread, and it's not looking good for them. Next, the Browns beat the Texans 36-22. Joe Flacco, 368 passing, 3 touchdowns, 2 picks. Amari Cooper, 11 catches, 265 and 2 scores. David Njoku with a touchdown catch. Jameer Ford and Kareem Hunt with rushing touchdowns each. As for Case Keenum, 62 passing yards, no touchdowns, 2 picks, and was benched for Davis Mills, who threw for 149, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. And Nico Collins had a touchdown catch. So the Browns are on cruise control right now. They won their 3rd straight game. They're sitting there comfortably at 10-5. Their offense, 428 total yards. They only ran for 54 yards, but they did have 2 rushing scores. There were 4 of 6 on 4th down. The defense had 3 sacks and 2 picks. And Joe Flacco is really resurrecting himself. Love to see what he's doing with this Browns team. And Amari Cooper, what a monster he is. With over 250 receiving yards. I certainly miss him in Dallas. Jerry Jones messed up paying Michael Gallup. I was sad to see Cooper go for a bag of chips. He was traded for a 5th-round pick, which was a highway robbery if you're the Browns. The Browns are going to be scary come playoff time, though. The elite defense, the offense is starting to click, and just watch out for them. As for the Texans, no C.J. Stroud, and it showed. The offense, 283 total, 72 rushing yards, 5 of 13 on third down. And as for the defense, they had a sack, 2 picks, but they gave up 460-plus yards. The Texans are now 8-7. They still have that playoffs in mind, but with this loss, it's going to make it harder for them to get in case if they lose or other teams happen to win. You never know. All I know is that they couldn't have afforded a loss right there. Next, the Packers beat the Panthers 33-30. Jordan Love, 214 passing, 2 touchdowns, no picks, 1 rushing score. Romeo Doubs, 4 catches, 79 yards and a touchdown. And Aaron Jones, 127 on the ground. As for the rookie Bryce Young, 312 passing, 2 touchdowns, no picks. DJ Chark, 6 catches, 98 yards, and 2 scores. Chuba Hubbard with a rushing touchdown, and Adam Thielen, 6 catches for 94 yards. So the Packers hang on. They hang on in a close win. They are now 7-8. The offense, 381 total. They had a nice run game of 162, 8 of 14 on third down, protected the ball as well. As for the defense, they had no turnovers, but they got 2 sacks, and their playoff hopes remain alive in Green Bay. As for the Panthers, they looked really good, in my opinion. They had some flaws, such as missing extra points, and they had 8 penalties for 87 yards. The offense had 408 total yards, 96 rushing yards, and 0 turnovers. Bryce Young with the best game of his young career so far, and I told you guys, it's too early to label him a bust, because this is what he can be. And if you give him more weapons, a better O-line, he certainly does not have bust written over him. As for the defense, they had a sack, but no turnovers, and they got ran over. And with this loss, the Panthers are 2-13. Next, the Seahawks beat the Titans 20-17. Geno Smith, 227 passing, 2 touchdowns, no picks. DK Metcalf, touchdown catch. Tyler Lockett, 8 catches for 81 yards. Ryan Tannehill for the Titans, 152 passing, no touchdowns, no picks. Derrick Henry, 88 rushing yards with a rushing score. He also had a passing touchdown as well, his 4th of his career. I'm sorry if I just butchered that name, but I know his last name's good. Okonkwo, the tight end, he had 6 catches, 63 yards, and a touchdown. So a big win for the Seahawks. They're 8-7. The offense, 285 total. only ran for 58 yards, but 7 of 13 on third down and didn't turn the ball over. The defense couldn't force a turnover, but they had 6 sacks, only allowed 17 points. And Siri, play the song by Bee Gees called Staying Alive, because the Seahawks are certainly staying alive in the NFC playoff race. As for the Titans, they could have won this game, but they had 10 penalties for 97 yards. The veteran quarterback, Ryan Tannehill, got the start for the injured rookie, Will Levis, and you know what? He really wasn't that bad. The offense, 326 total. The run game went off for 162. They were 6 of 12 on third down, and they didn't turn the ball over. However, the O-line was complete crap. Tannehill got beat up back there. And as for the defense, they had 3 sacks, but they were unable to force turnovers. They gave up a final touchdown for the game winner against the Seahawks in the final minutes. The Titans fall to 5-10. The next game on the slate we have here, the Falcons beat the Colts 29-10. Taylor Heineke, 229 passing, a touchdown, no picks. Tyler Algier, a rushing score, and Kyle Pitts, the tight end, with a touchdown catch. As for Gardner Minshew, 201 passing, no touchdowns and a pick, and Jonathan Taylor with a rushing score. So the Falcons get a much-needed win. They're now 7-8. The offense, 406 total yards, a solid run game for 177, and they protected the ball. And Atlanta fans, I sure are relieved to see Taylor Heineke out there balling over Desmond Ridder, because Desmond Ridder is just chaotic with the football. And as for the defense, 6 sacks. They had a pick. They allowed under 300 yards for just 10 points. And the Falcons' playoff destiny is on life support, but they're not dead yet. They're still breathing. As for the Colts, first drive of the game resulted in a touchdown, and then they were outscored 29-3 since that moment. The offense, 293 total, 92 rushing yards. They were bad on third down, 5 of 14, bad on fourth down, 1 of 3. So the O-line also got harassed all game by that Falcons front seven. The defense, they created a sack, but they didn't create a turnover. They gave up 400-plus yards for 29 points, and they were smacked in the mouth by the run game. The Colts dropped to 8-7, remained the 7th seed in the AFC playoffs, but, you know, this loss is kind of sketchy for them. They couldn't really afford this. As for the next game, the Bucs beat the Jags 30-12. Baker Mayfield, 283 passing, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Mike Evans, 7 catches for 86 yards and 2 scores, and Rachaad White with a rushing score. As for Trevor Lawrence of the Jags, 211 passing, a touchdown, 2 picks, 1 fumble, and he left with an injury, so in came C.J. Beathard, who threw for 94 yards, a touchdown, no interceptions. Calvin Ridley, 6 catches, 90 yards, and 2 scores. So in the Battle of Florida, the Bucs dominate. And, you know, they've won their 4th straight game now. They advanced to 8-7 and are peaking at the right time. The offense, 353 total, 70 rushing yards, 10 of 14 on third down, and no turnovers. The defense had 4 sacks, 2 interceptions, 2 fumbles, took away the run game of the Jags, and only allowed 12 points. And right now, the Bucs are scorching hot. Baker's playing great football. The run game is clicking each and every week. The defense is improving every week as well, and they could cause a lot of turmoil come playoffs. They are now sitting with a 1-game lead in the NFC South. As for the Jags, they're crumbling. They trailed 30-0 at one point in this game. They had 4 total turnovers, 3 of them by the quarterback. They missed a field goal kick. The offense, 342 total. The run game didn't do a thing with 37 yards, 3 of 9 on third down, 1 of 3 on fourth down. They had 23 minutes of time of possession, while the Bucs had 37 minutes. And Trevor Lawrence is injured again. The Jags are now 8-7 with a 4 straight loss. And yes, they're still first in the AFC South. They're still the 4th seed in the AFC. But, you know, with the Colts and Texans losing, that helps them. But as of now, it's a 3-way tie. So these last 2 weeks are going to be sketchy for them. And if they don't get it together, who knows what can happen. Next, the Dolphins beat my Cowboys 22-20. Tua Tagovailoa, 293 passing, a touchdown, no picks. Raheem Mostert with a receiving touchdown, and Tyreek Hill, 9 catches for 99 yards. Dak Prescott, 253 passing, 2 touchdowns, no picks, and a fumble. CeeDee Lamb, 6 catches, 118 and a touchdown, and Brandon Cooks with a touchdown catch. So the Dolphins clinch a playoff spot. They get the win on a last-second field goal and are now 11-4. Their offense, 385 total, 91 rushing yards, didn't turn the ball over. The defense had 4 sacks and 1 fumble, and this was a quality win. They're beating the allegations that they can't beat a winning team, because they just did, and they really needed that. As for the Cowboys, just disappointment, and it all started on the first drive. Tony Pollard had a walk-in touchdown. He tries out-muscling a Finns defender, but gets stuffed. The next play, they give it to the rookie fullback, Hunter Lepsky, who fumbles at the 1-yard line, and they said the fumble was on Dak, but those who watched the game know it hit Hunter right in the chest, and he just couldn't hang on. But I take the blame for that. I said to my dad, I'm watching the game with him, I said, you know what, that kid, he got 2 first downs on this first series. Give him the ball right here, and look at what happened. So by any means, I take the blame for that. Cowboys fans, you could come at me. I'll take the yell on that. So yeah, 7 points left off the board, and Dak had an awesome late fourth quarter drive to take the lead, but the defense failed him in the final minutes. The offense, 350 total yards, 97 rushing yards, 2 of 2 on fourth down, but 4 of 12 on third down, and that costly fumble. The offensive line was absolute garbage too, gave Dak no time to throw, and they also committed a lot of penalties. As for the defense, they had a sack, but they didn't have any turnovers, costly penalties as well, and they folded under pressure in the final 3 minutes. The penalties haunt the Cowboys again. It happens every single week with them. They're the most penalized team in the league again. I think this is the 3rd straight year where they're going to be leading the league in penalties, which is absolutely disgusting. Mike McCarthy, what is wrong with you as a coach? Because CeeDee Lamb went off in the first quarter. He had 100 yards in the first quarter, but all of a sudden, they don't involve him in the second and third quarter. And I don't care who's covering him. It's CeeDee Lamb. You get him the ball no matter what. Of course, he got going in the fourth, but it's like, where was he in the game plan in the second and third quarter? Zeke's power was missed in this game. I'll get into him in a little bit, but at the goal line, it's like they had no answers on how to get in. The Cowboys dropped to 10-5. They continue to suck on the road, and they dropped to the 5th seed in the NFC playoffs with the dirtbag Eagles winning their game. The next game is the Bears beating the Cardinals 27-16. Justin Fields, 170 passing, a touchdown, a pick. He also had 97 rushing yards and a rushing touchdown. As for Khalil Herbert, 112 rushing and a score. And Cole Kmet, the tight end, 4 catches for 107. Kyler Murray, 230 passing, 2 touchdowns, no picks. James Conner, 5 catches, 67 yards and a touchdown, and Greg Dortch with a touchdown catch. So the Bears improved to 6-9, and surprisingly, they won their last 3 of 4 games. The offense, 420 total yards. The ground game went crazy with 250 yards, 8 of 15 on third down. The defense, they didn't force turnovers, but they did get 2 sacks. And Justin Fields is playing a hell of a lot better than he did in the beginning of the season. And I think they shouldn't draft a quarterback if I were them. I'd keep Fields. He's got a lot of upside. And if they're smart, they'll throw in Marvin Harrison Jr., the receiver. He's a stud. It would be perfect for them because we saw when DJ Moore got there, he helped Fields' game. And now if you throw Marvin Harrison in there, it's just going to elevate his game even more. And if you somehow, decide to get rid of Fields for whatever reason, which wouldn't surprise me because it's the Bears, and you get Caleb Williams or Drake May, those dudes are going to fail there. So just keep Fields. I don't know. I'm not no GM, but I would keep Fields. And you know what? Don't blink because the Bears, surprisingly, are still in playoff contention. As for the Cardinals, they played a decent game, just a couple of errors that costed them, such as being down 14 points early. And the offense, 323 total. They ran for 93, but they were 7-16 on third down and 0 of 1 on fourth down. They got outrushed by the Bears, 250-93, 157-yard difference. The defense had a sack, 1 pick, but they got ran over like a Mack truck. The Cardinals are 3-12 on the season. Next, the Patriots beat the Broncos 26-23. Bailey Zappi, 256 passing, 2 touchdowns, no picks, 1 fumble. Zeke Elliott with a receiving touchdown. Russell Wilson of the Broncos, 238 passing, 2 touchdowns, no picks. And Javonte Williams with a rushing touchdown, and he also fumbled. So the Patriots went on the road to go to 4-11. It wasn't pretty. They missed a field goal. They missed an extra point. They only ran for 59 yards. They were 3 of 13 on third down, and they also led 23-7 in the fourth quarter, but allowed the Broncos to tie it 23-23. But they made plays when it mattered, such as outscoring Denver 20-0 in the third quarter. They had a game-winning field goal drive in the final 2 minutes. And how about Zeke, man? He hurdled the defender for a touchdown, beating the washed-up allegations that everyone gave him. Like I said, Dallas could have used him in this in their loss against Miami because he showed that he still has that power. And as for the offense, they finished with 315 yards total. Special teams had a huge touchdown on a kick return. They forced a fumble, scooped it, and scored. The defense had 5 sacks and 1 fumble. And the Patriots' season may be done, but they could have played spoilers against the Broncos' playoff hopes. As for the Broncos, they trailed 23-7 in the fourth. They tied it up, but early mistakes costed them, such as the turnovers and a missed field goal. And Their offense had 321 total yards. They ran for 83 yards. It was ugly on third down, though, going 4 of 13. Their O-line was also a no-show. The defense had 2 sacks, a fumble, but they disappeared on that final drive. And the Broncos dropped to 7-8. They're still in playoff contention, but barely, and they couldn't afford this loss. And in my opinion, this game was absolutely hilarious. For as bad as people thought it would be, I thought it was a great game because they exchanged fumbles. Each team exchanged fumbles in the first 2 minutes of the game, and like one team would miss a field goal, and then the other team would follow with a field goal miss. It was just pure comedy. It should have been on Comedy Central. The final 3 games we got were the Monday games, the Christmas games. The Raiders playing the Grinch against the Chiefs, 20-14. The rookie Aiden O'Connell, 62 passing yards, no touchdowns, no picks. Zamir White with 145 rushing. As for Pat Mahomes, 235 passing, a touchdown and a pick. Isaiah Pacheco with a rushing score and a fumble. So the Raiders go on the road. They embarrass their division rival and are 7-8. The offense, only 219 total. They were 3-12 on third down, but they didn't turn the ball over. And they didn't even complete a pass in the whole second half. However, the run game dominated with 157. And how about the defense? They changed the landscape of this game completely. Late in the second quarter, they were able to cause a fumble 6, followed by a pick 6. They scored 2 defensive touchdowns in just 10 seconds, and they recorded 4 sacks as well. Antonio Pierce's defensive mind and his coaching is rubbing off on this team in a positive way. The Raiders better not be stupid. They better make the right choice and hire him as the official head coach for years to come because he's proved that he's that guy. And it sounds crazy, but the Raiders still have a shot to make the playoffs in the AFC. As for the Chiefs, they were absolutely atrocious this game. Those 2 turnovers for touchdowns were absolutely crucial. The offense, 331 total, 85 rushing yards, bad on third down, going 5 of 16, and they only scored 14 points. They were abysmal on the offensive line as well. Gave Mahomes no time, and another game with a bunch of penalties by them as well. The defense had 2 sacks. They were good against the pass, but got shredded against the run and forced no turnovers. And what's going on in Kansas City? They've been in an awful funk lately, and they don't look like the powerhouse team that we are used to seeing. You can't count them out yet. You know, they do have 2 Super Bowls in 4 years, so you can't count them out yet, but they better figure it out fast. They started 7-2, and now they are 9-6. They lost their last 4 or 6 games, and it's looking pretty troublesome there. Maybe Taylor Swift can save them. Next, the Eagles beat the Giants 33-25. Jalen Hurts, 301 passing, a touchdown, a pick, and 2 rushing scores. DeAndre Swift, 92 rushing yards and a touchdown. Devontae Smith, 4 catches for 79 yards and a touchdown. And A.J. Brown, six catches for 80 yards. As for the rookie Tommy DeVito, 55 passing yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions, and was benched for Tyrod Taylor, who threw for 133, a touchdown and a pick. Saquon Barkley, 80 rushing yards and a score, and Darius Slayton, 3 catches, 90 yards and a touchdown. So the Eagles beat their division rival. They go to 11-4 in a narrow victory. They led by 17 points at the half, but made a few mistakes to let the Giants hang around. They overcame those turnovers and got the job done. They overcame 9 penalties for 65 yards as well. And the offense, 471 total. The run game had 170, 8 of 15 on third down, 2 of 2 on fourth down. And the defense had a sack and the game-sealing pick. The Eagles are now currently the 2 seed in the NFC playoffs and currently lead the NFC East, which yeah, I'm not a happy camper about, but we're coming. Next, the Giants trailed 20-3. At halftime, they fought back, though. They made it 20-18 after a fumble on a kick return led to a touchdown. And then later in the quarter, Jalen Hurts throws a pick 6. They also then trailed 30-18 in the fourth quarter, and they got a touchdown to make it 30-25, but the defense couldn't get a stop towards the end and gave up a field goal. The offense, 294 total. They ran for 106, but not good on third down, going 4-14. They also had just 14 first downs, while the Eagles had 28. And the rookie Tommy DeVito was benched, and it was fun while it lasted. You know, everyone was Italian for a month. You know, we're all going, hey, you know. As Biggie once said, your reign on the top was short like leprechauns. But I wish the best for the kid. North Jersey kid, like I've said 1,000 times, I'll say it 1,000 more. You know, he's definitely going to be a good backup. He's just not starter material yet. So rest in peace to a great story of Tommy DeVito. So Tyrod Taylor comes in, and he looked really good out there. I know he had the interception that ended the game, but I mean, there could have been a questionable pass interference on that on the Eagles. And the defense had 2 sacks, 1 pick six. They gave up 400 plus yards though for 33 points and couldn't stop the run. The Giants dropped to 5-10, and with that loss, they're eliminated from the playoffs. The final game is the Ravens beating the Niners 33-19. Lamar Jackson, 252 passing, 2 touchdowns, no picks. The rookie Zay Flowers, 9 catches, 72 yards and a score. And Gus Edwards with a rushing touchdown. As for Brock Purdy, 255 passing, no touchdowns, 4 picks. He left with an injury. In comes Sam Darnold, 81 passing yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Christian McCaffrey, 103 running and a score. George Kittle, the tight end, 7 catches for 126. And Brandon Ayuk, 6 catches for 113. So in a battle of the number 1 seed in the AFC taking on the NFC's number 1 seed, the Ravens were able to cruise past the Niners like they were nothing, punched them in the mouth, and they are now 12-3 with a 5-game win streak. The offense, 354 total, 102 rushing, didn't turn the ball over, and the defense had 4 sacks, 5 interceptions. They only allowed 19 points against a great offense. And the Ravens made a statement with this win. I mean, I think they've been making statements all year, but with this win, very, very solid. The offense and defense is hitting their pinnacle right now. This is just a dangerous football team all around. And Lamar Jackson arguably took the MVP away from Brock Purdy in this game. And as for the Niners and Brock Purdy, they looked horrible. 457 total yards. They ran for 121, but they were bad on third down. They were 6 of 14. They were bad on fourth down, 1 of 3. And not to mention, they had 5 total interceptions, 4 of them coming from Brock Purdy. And to make matters worse, he got hurt as well in this game. And before the game, Brock Purdy was the MVP favorite, but not anymore after his poor performance. And the defense, 2 sacks, they had a safety, but they forced no turnovers and gave up 33 points. This team had 10 penalties for 102 yards as well. And the Niners' 6-game win streak is no more. They have 11-4 record, but they're still the number 1 seed in the NFC. So that's it for the Week 16 recap around the NFL. Let me know what you guys thought of this week. Let me know what was your favorite game, your least favorite game. Did your favorite team win? Did they take a loss? Let me know. Give me some feedback. Let me hear your opinions. Let me hear what you have to say. And don't forget, do me a huge favor. Follow this exact Instagram page, and then I'm going to point right here, and this is where you're going to follow my Instagram account. Thank you all, and enjoy your lovely night.